Live from KSAT 12, the 6 o'clock news starts right now.
Llegué a Panamá, de Panamá a Nicaragua.
Acá no tengo familia, me va a recibir un amigo.
I pray every day somebody do something urgent for these people.
From Eagle Pass to right here in San Antonio.
Tonight, we're continuing to follow the influx of migrants arriving at the Texas border.
We have team coverage on the latest wave of migrants crossing into the U.S. Our Jonathan Cotto standing by at the Migrant Resource Center here in San Antonio, where people have been arriving throughout last night and again today.
Yeah, but first let's go to our Daniela Ibarra in Eagle Pass, where the mayor there says this influx is overwhelming that city. Daniela, the resources to help these people running scarce in Eagle Pass right now, correct?
Yeah, Steve, the mayor tells me that the surge that they've been seeing over the past 24 hours or so has really strained their hospital system. They say the economy. Just off to my shoulder, you can't see it in the shot, but that is one of the international bridges here between U.S. and Mexico, and it's one of the only ones that's open here. There's another one in town that he says has been closed because Border Patrol has been here helping with the migrants, and he says because it's been shut down, they haven't really been able to get the toll money from that, which is a huge economic hit for them.
Daniela, we can't see anybody from this view, but you're right there along the river. So talk about what you have seen in terms of anyone crossing there today. Is anyone still underneath that bridge as they have been the past couple of days?
No, Myra, we've really kind of seen the migrants come over in waves. So earlier today, we were here and we saw a couple dozen migrants standing here waiting to be processed. But in the past hour or so I've been watching, I've only seen about a handful of so migrants come over. But I did speak with one earlier today who made that, that trek across the river. And he said it really wasn't that hard as hard as he had expected it to be.
You've got that razor wire behind it. At 5 o'clock, we talked a little bit about that. That doesn't, it seems as if migrants have figured out how to get over or through that razor wire. Is that what you were witnessing today?
Well, see, we don't actually get to see them come off the river onto the land over here. We're kind of blocked from that area, but from what I've seen right here, this stretch right here, it seems like they're getting through pretty easy. It makes it maybe takes them 3 to 5 minutes to get across.
Yeah, I want to go further. I mean, you have been hearing tales of this, not where you're at, but other parts of the Rio Grande being deadly for some of these migrants to cross, correct?
Yeah, we heard from the mayor today that an adult man actually died. He drowned while crossing the river. We're not sure if it was this spot, but he said that, drowning is something that he sees a lot in this area. And then yesterday he says that a 4-year-old girl drowned. So it just talks about, the trek it takes to come over here to this side of the border.
Daniela Ibarra live in Eagle Pass. Thank you so much, Daniela. Appreciate it. It's not just resources in Eagle Pass that are being stretched thin. It's also happening in San Antonio. There are an influx of migrants coming to our city.
Yeah, we have seen 1,000 people on average arriving the last couple of days. That is to the San Antonio airport, at a local bus station here, and the Migrant Resource Center. That's where our Jonathan Cotto is standing by this evening. Jonathan, resources here locally also being strapped as well.
That's right, Myra and Steve. I'm located here at the Migrant Resource Center. We know over 2,000 migrants arrived at Eagle Pass by foot and by train on Tuesday. On Wednesday, 3,000 more. And authorities are expecting that number to increase day after day. And as these migrants make their way into Texas, they'll eventually end up here in San Antonio at the Migrant Resource Center, as you're seeing another bus load full of migrants showing up to a center that's already working and operating at capacity. Now, a lot of these migrants have not been able to go inside because of the number of people that are inside and have been spending the majority of their day outside in the heat, in the elements. As you can see, many trying to find shade where possible and trying to find that comfort where possible. Now, we had an opportunity to speak with local leadership to learn more about the situation that we are seeing and witnessing at the border, and if they are making any plans to expand additional shelter right here in San Antonio.
It's no end in sight.
Congressman Tony Gonzalez calling the current situation at the border tragic, detailing already a number of deaths.
Earlier today, first responders pulled the body of a lifeless baby out of the water. This is the 3rd or 4th child that has passed away in the last couple of weeks.
Migrants are being bussed to different shelters and centers across the state. The Migrant Resource Center here already at capacity.
I have been in direct communication with Mayor Nuremberg, the city manager, the county judge, and others. The difficulty when you open up more space is that space just gets consumed, and there is no end in sight. No matter how big a space you open up, it just continues to overflow.
Gonzalez says a humanitarian approach to the situation is best, but alerts.
We do not want to see in San Antonio what we see in other places like El Paso, which is in my district, where you see people that are, essentially homeless on the side of the street, which is not a good thing for our community.
And what's mostly keeping places like the MRC jammed are migrants who don't have the money to move to their final destinations.
So they are doing odd jobs. They're trying to scrape together some money before they move on to their final destination. And all that does is increase the amount of people that are waiting in and around that area.
Now, Steve, Myra, I want to bring your attention back to that bus that just pulled up here to the Migrant Resource Center. We're waiting for the people inside to make their way into the Migrant Resource Center, but I believe they're probably having to go through a process, a checklist of items before they're able to step outside of that bus. But I do want to make mention here and add a little bit of human perspective. We've been covering the border now for a couple of years, and we've been covering the border for the last couple of months at the end of Title 42 and on the onset of the buoys. But just now I witnessed something that I haven't had the opportunity to witness before, and that it appears that one of the migrants that was sheltered here at the MRC reached out to their point of contact. That point of contact came here, picked that woman up, and the bond, the connection, the hug, the sentiment that was shared at that moment was unlike anything that I've had the opportunity to witness since I've been covering immigration for KSAT 12. Now, we did reach out to Bexar County Judge Peter Sakai to learn more about the situation, if they did have any plans on opening more shelters here in San Antonio. He says they are keeping an eye on the situation. They're aware of what's happening. They're aware of the overflow here at MRC, and they are keeping an eye on things on a day-by-day basis. But as of now, they have no plans on opening additional space. Reporting live outside of the Migrant Resource Center here in San Antonio, Jonathan Cotto, KSAT 12 News.
Quite a journey to get to that hug. Jonathan, thank you. We'll continue to follow what is happening at the border and here locally with our own resources. We want to turn now to other news we are covering today. The man charged with shooting 3 San Antonio police officers last month has finally been indicted in year-old felony cases. Court records show that Jesse Garcia was indicted September 7th for possession of methamphetamine with intent to deliver and unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. The Bexar County District Attorney's Office said the cases were stalled due to basic investigative work not being completed by SAPD, an accusation that SAPD has denied. Garcia faces 8 unrelated felony charges connected to the shooting of 3 San Antonio police officers on the west and southwest sides late last month.
An argument over money in a gas station parking lot puts a man in the hospital. Happened about 10:30 last night at the Quick Trip on Blanco Road near West. According to San Antonio police, the man was trying to break a $20 bill for someone while inside someone's vehicle. That's when the driver of that vehicle took that man's money and started to drive away. Police say the man was hit by that vehicle, trying to get his money back. At last check, he was in serious condition. The driver of that car has not been found.
The case of a woman accused in a murder for hire plot will be headed to trial. Cristina Rodriguez is charged with capital murder. She's accused of hiring her brother-in-law to kill her friend, Michael Perez, in February 2019. Last week, the gunman in this case, John Cantu, was found guilty of murder and is awaiting sentencing now. Rodriguez's husband is also accused and awaiting trial. If Cristina Rodriguez is found guilty, she faces an automatic life sentence without parole.
Go outside right now, 98 degrees out there. It has been a warm one. Felt like the humidity was back. A toasty Thursday.
Yes, and that trend is not going anywhere as we gear up for the upcoming weekend as well. But we do have a few changes that look to move in, especially as we head into the early portions of next week. But until then, yes, it has been another hotter than average afternoon here in San Antonio. 98 the official high, well above average, but just shy of the record of 100 that was set back in
in the early 1900s. We've got plenty of sunshine out there. That's where we currently sit this hour. A dew point in the mid 60s. So yes, it does feel like about 102 degrees. If you're fixing to step out for any of those Thursday evening plans, those thermometers will continue to fall through the 90s and eventually into the 80s later on tonight with a south breeze gusting upwards of about 20 miles per hour at times. But yes, we do have a few changes that look to move in the form of maybe a few rain chances early next week. We'll have all of those details coming up in just a few.
Thank you, Mia. We'll see you in a bit. Let's take a look at traffic out there right now. I-37 at Hackberry. You can see the far right lane here moving away from the camera. That's the one where things are slow going as traffic there merges. But really the rest of the lanes, everything moving along smoothly this evening.
Happening tomorrow, KSAT community partnering with the San Antonio Food Bank to help fight hunger during Hunger Action Month. On Friday, we're going to be hosting a town hall starting at 2:30 so you can learn how to give back. We're going to be live streaming the town hall on our website. You can also find more information about Hunger Action Month on KSAT.com.
And then on Saturday, it is our annual Head for the Cure 5K to raise money for brain cancer research. The event is in honor of our late news director, Jim Boyle, who passed away 10 years ago. If you'd like to register, go to headforthecure/San Antonio. You can use the code KSAT for $5 off the registration fee. That 5K starts this Saturday morning at 8 a.m.
Renovating your home or business can be stressful, especially when the contractor you hired might be scamming you. Tonight, KSAT Investigates looks into police reports and a court case against a San Antonio area contractor accused of scamming people out of thousands of dollars.
It's not fair what he's doing to people, and it's wrong, and I'm determined to put an end to it.
Coming up tonight at 6:30, KSAT Investigates Deutsch Does It All and how you can prevent becoming a victim of a contractor scam.
Still ahead here on the news at 6, the San Antonio International Airport is getting its first direct flight to Europe. Find out where that flight is headed and how much it's going to cost next.
One woman felt she had no choice but to come to us here at KSAT. She's worried about the safety of children and the elderly who walk along an intersection in her neighborhood. It's near several schools. What KSAT found out and how we got help tonight on the Night Beat. It's Destination Deutschland. San Antonio officials announced the airport getting its first transatlantic flight into Europe.
The seasonal flights by Condor will connect the Alamo City with the busy hub of Frankfurt, Germany. Garrett Berger has your travel plans and more on what the city hopes will now take off.
San Antonio and to Frankfurt.
It's news that has city leaders feeling fantastisch.
Simply said, San Antonio International Airport has arrived on the world stage.
The director of airports says it's estimated more than 300 Europe-bound travelers left San Antonio International every day in the summer of 2022. And in the past 2 years, he says a majority of travelers are going to Germany.
So that's one of the biggest reasons it was very attractive to want to move in that direction.
The route will be a seasonal one, running less than 4 months between mid-May and early September. 3 flights a week in either direction with 310 seats on each.
So how much would it cost you? We looked it up on Condor's website, and a Friday to Friday round trip on that first week would cost you less than $1,000 for the cheapest tickets.
It's an option that would have been appealing for Barbara Elbrock had she known about it before she and her traveling group decided on a nonstop flight out of Austin.
Although it is a pain to go to Austin, there's no doubt, because you have to go ahead and do the truck up to Austin.
Travel agent Alice Petrie hopes flyers fill up these new flights.
That way we'll keep it and also, maybe attract some more nonstop flights.
And the airport has eyes on other parts of Europe.
Obviously, trying to get into Spain, trying to get into London, trying to get into Paris, all of those are very leisure, very attractive markets, along with what we have with Frankfurt, Germany, with Condor.
Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
All right, let's talk about the forecast. It's not 100 degrees at this hour, but you mentioned it, that humidity. It's there.
It is there.
It feels hot and sticky.
It certainly does. Yep. And it's really not going to go anywhere for the most part over the next several days. By the way, the fall equinox happening on Saturday. Not really going to feel like fall just yet. Those summer-like temperatures will continue, but we do have a few potential changes that look to move into at least parts of our area early next week. Let's get you a look at those weather headlines. What we will be tracking, yes, those unseasonably hot afternoon highs will continue into the upcoming weekend. But as we head into the Sunday through Monday time frame, that's when we start to see a few changes work into our weather pattern. And while it's not going to be for everybody, especially by Sunday night and then into Monday evening, we do have a few chances for rain that look to return. So we'll talk all about it and get you all the details. But first, planning out your Friday, especially tomorrow morning for the morning commute, the humidity will actually build a little bit more. So I think some morning cloud cover is in store with a low temperature in the mid to upper 70s. And then by lunchtime, we're going to start to see some of that morning cloud cover break up and scatter out just a little bit more. A temperature already approaching the 90-degree mark at noon, and then into the later portions of the afternoon by the peak heating time of day, 4 to 5 o'clock. We've got that forecast high pointed around 97 degrees here in town, 98 in Floresville, stretching over to Pleasanton, 99 in New Braunfels, 98 in Hondo, and 97 in Castroville. Again, Saturday and into Sunday, more upper 90s are expected. In fact, we're expecting to flirt with that 100-degree mark. But then those temperatures start to come down a little bit as we head into early next week. And that's also when those rain chances start to increase a touch. So let's time it out here on your Futurecast. Again, tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., there's that cloud cover that's in place into the afternoon. We see a little bit more sunshine, maybe a stray shower. We've got it at about a 10% chance, especially the farther south and east that you go. High pressure works farther off to the southwest, and then we see a weak boundary move into central Texas on Sunday. And by Sunday evening and Sunday night, while the better energy looks to stay north of our area, a few isolated storms certainly possible, especially across portions of the hill country, southern Edwards Plateau. And then as we see some upper level support, a few more pieces of energy work into the Lone Star State on Monday evening and Monday night, we're going to increase that chance for rain to about a 40% potential for some scattered activity. Definitely something to check back in on over the next few days. But in the meantime, we are all quiet here in San Antonio and across south central Texas. Some activity, though, across the Red River, just north of the Metroplex. A couple different centers of high pressure in control right now. But I want to take you also off to the eastern seaboard. You can see in Florida, stretching over to Georgia, got some scattered rain and thunderstorms. This is actually associated with some tropical activity. Potential tropical cyclone 16 that's now being monitored by the National Hurricane Center. It is expected to work its way northward, potentially strengthening into a tropical storm, and it actually might make landfall in North Carolina by tomorrow night and into Saturday, bringing with it some gusty winds and heavy rainfall to that portion of the eastern coastline. Of course, we will continue to monitor that for our friends and family out that way. Elsewhere in the tropics, Hurricane Nigel in the northern Atlantic, that will continue to stay away from the lower 48s. And then another area to watch out there in the eastern Atlantic has a high chance for tropical development, but no issues for us here in south central Texas right now. Just the heat that we'll be dealing with until we see those chances for rain return early next week. And then temperatures come down a touch, low to mid 90s. So still hot for this time of year, but not as bad as what we're seeing right now, guys.
Yeah, we are waiting on the fall temperatures. Yes. Thank you, Mia.
All right, so I have a fantasy football team. Do you know that?
I did know that.
So far, CeeDee Lamb, CeeDee's been my MVP.
MVP, okay.
Oh, yeah, he's...
All right, so he's going to carry you hopefully right into the playoffs.
That's what I hope.
Okay. The Cowboys hope that CeeDee Lamb in real-life football will carry them into the playoffs. Coming up, the Cowboys are 2-0, and CeeDee says, okay, listen, we're just 2 games in the end, so calm down on all this Super Bowl talk. Plus, in the WNBA, Nalissa Smith, one of the San Antonio greats, talks about what she learned this season. Coming up.
What do you want to be known for in the league?
You know, a championship program. You know, it's been a while since the Fever have done that.
Nalissa Smith is chasing that WNBA championship in big board sports.
Football coverage brought to you by Davis Law Firm.
The Dallas Cowboys have confirmed the bad news, telling us cornerback Trayvon Diggs suffered a left knee injury during today's practice. A subsequent MRI was performed that confirmed a torn ACL. A timetable for Diggs' returns to play has not been established, but he's currently projected to miss the remainder of the current season. Now, this is a huge blow for the league's #1 overall ranked defense. Diggs was injured during a one-on-one session in practice and was seen leaving practice on crutches, and that's when he underwent an MRI that confirmed that bad news. Now the 2-0 Cowboys will have to head to Arizona to face the Cardinals, minus one of the best corners in the league. The Cowboys are off to a great start, and they lead the NFL in 12 different categories, including point differential plus 60, turnover margin at 7, and 10 sacks, tied with the Commanders. There's talk this could finally be the Cowboys season, but CD Lamb is saying, all right, let's pump the brakes.
It's 2-0, man. We ain't really do anything yet, and a lot of guys are 2-0. Separation kind of starts happening come week 5 and on. So just staying foot on the gas and head down, still turning, and we trying to, the end goal. We trying to reach the end goal.
Wide receiver Brandon Cooks was a full participant in practice today after being limited yesterday, and he's coming back from a knee injury. Turning to the WNBA, the Indiana Fever failed to make the playoffs for the 7th straight season. Led by Kelsey Mitchell, Nalissa Smith, and Aaliyah Boston, the Fever had a much better campaign compared to last. Smith from East Central High School averaged 15.5 points and a team-high 9.2 rebounds per game this season. Now, she played in just 31 games due to injuries, but she came back and finished the season strongly. The Fever held a season-ending exit interview with their players, and here's part of what Smith had to say.
My challenge every year is just to get better every single year, and I feel like I did that. I feel like I grew in every category, and I feel like I'm just going to keep getting better. 2023 was great. I feel like this season was a great season. Going from 5 wins to 13 wins is tremendous, and it just shows the growth that we had over this past year, and I think it's only going to get better from here. I learned a lot about myself. It's my 2nd year of having an injury, so when I have injuries, it's just time to think about plans for the future and stuff like that. So I feel like I learned a lot about me.
What was the key for you to overcoming the injury and finishing the season strong?
I think it was more so just like the mental part of it, getting back into, playing again and getting back to, how I started the season and just being consistent. And, thank God we had all the resources I needed here.
With Smith and Aaliyah Boston, the Indiana Fever have a bright future. Plus, Indiana will have the best odds to land the #1 pick in the 2024 WNBA draft. In Texas League action, the San Antonio Missions will host the Amarillo Sod Poodles tonight in Game 2 of that best-of-3 playoff series. The Missions took Game 1 Tuesday night at Amarillo 12-11. They'll go for the 2-game sweep tonight, and we'll have those highlights for you on the Night Beat.
Have I told you I'm not a fan of the sod poodles?
You have said you're not a fan.
They're invasive.
Yes, exactly.
They can ruin a lawn.
Yeah, so let's get them out of here.
They're a nemesis.
It's kind of fun to say, though.
It is fun.
Sod poodles. After the break, police reports in a court case against the San Antonio area contractor accused of scamming people out of thousands of dollars. Up next, KSAT investigates Deutsch Does It All and how you can avoid becoming a victim of a contractor scam.